Think you could survive in the Middle Ages? All those epic tales of knights, castles, and chivalry. Sound pretty cool, right? Well, you might want to rethink that fantasy after you hear about some of their truly disgusting daily habits. Let's peel back the curtain of history and see just how grimy life really was back then. First up, let's talk about bath time. If you enjoy a nice, clean, private shower every day, you would have been in for a shock. Bathing was a rare event, sometimes happening only a few times a year. And when it did happen, it was often a communal affair. An entire family, or sometimes even a whole town, would share the same tub of hot water. The head of the household went first, then the other men, then the women, and finally the children. By the time the last person got in, the water would be a cold, black, sludgy mess. Imagine being last in line, yikes. Next, let's head to the medieval bathroom, or rather, the lack thereof. Toilet paper was a luxury no one had even dreamed of. So, what did they use? Whatever was free and readily available. This could mean leaves, handfuls of moss, straw, or even just their left hand. This is actually a big reason why the left hand became associated with being unclean in many cultures, and why it was considered incredibly rude to eat or greet someone with it. You used your right hand for eating and your left hand for, well, you know. So where did all this waste go? If you lived in a town or city, you probably used a chamber pot, and when it was full, you didn't flush it down a toilet. You simply opened your window and tossed the contents out onto the street below. If you were polite, you might shout, "Guard," a warning that meant watch out for the water. People walking on the streets had to constantly dodge a rain of human waste. This is why many city streets were just rivers of mud and filth. And the filth didn't stay outside. Let's look at the floors inside a typical medieval home. Forget hardwood or nice carpets. Most commoners had floors made of packed earth, which they covered with a layer of straw or rushes. This sounds rustic and cozy until you realize what was in that straw. It collected everything. Spilled food, grease, animal droppings, and all sorts of garbage. Instead of cleaning it out, people would often just pile a fresh layer of straw on top. This created a layered cake of filth, with the bottom layers rotting away for years, breeding vermin and creating an unbelievable stench. It was basically an indoor compost pile that you also lived on. But believe it or not, some waste was considered incredibly valuable. I'm talking about urine. Yes, pee was a hot commodity in the Middle Ages. It was collected and used for a surprising number of things. Its ammonia content made it a powerful cleaning agent, so it was used as a laundry detergent. People would literally stomp on clothes in vats of urine to get them clean. Some noblewomen also used it as a facial cleanser, believing it would give them a fashionably pale complexion. And if you got a cut, do you want to be surprised if a physician decided to use stale urine as an antiseptic to clean the wound? Let's move on to personal grooming, specifically hair. Head lice were absolutely everywhere, a constant itchy problem for rich and poor alike. The nobility had a particularly clever, if creepy, solution. They would often shave their heads completely bald and then wear massive, elaborate wigs. This not only hid their bald heads and any remaining lice, but also served as a major status symbol. The problem was, the wigs themselves, often made of horsehair and powdered with scented flour, became perfect breeding grounds for a new generation of lice. People even had special long-handled forks to scratch the itch under their wigs without taking them off. Finally, let's talk about health and medicine. Dental hygiene was basically non-existent. People rarely cleaned their teeth, leading to widespread decay, gum disease, and agonizing toothaches. Most people just let their teeth rot and fall out. For other illnesses, one of the most common treatments for almost everything was doctors, or more commonly, barbers, believed that sickness was caused by an imbalance of the four humors in the body, and that draining blood would restore this balance. Using unsterilized knives or leeches, they would drain a significant amount of the patient's blood. This practice meant Takuri often just made the person weaker or caused a deadly infection. So, after hearing all that, do you still think you'd thrive in the age of chivalry? From sharing bath water with your entire town to using urine as face wash, and from floors made of garbage to dodging waste falling from the sky, everyday life was a lot grubbier than the storybooks suggest. The next time you use a flushing toilet, brush your teeth, or even just walk on a clean floor, take a moment to be thankful you're not living in the Middle Ages. Thanks for watching, and do not forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the weird and wild side of history.